Hey, what's going on, everyone? In this video, we are going to go over the 5 biggest surprises so far in this MLB season. We've had lots of teams that come out of the gate swinging, lots of teams that have been a disaster since the season started, and I'm going to break down what I think are the top 5 teams or storylines that have come as the biggest surprise so far in the 2023 season. Right before I jump into that, guys, go down there, smash that like button. I do appreciate any of the support I get. We are building community and I love talking to you guys about baseball. Drop a comment below and let me know what you guys think is the biggest surprise so far this season, and we will keep the discussion going. Let's go. Coming in at number 5, we have a focus here on the National League West. We had 2 teams coming into this season who I expected to pretty much carry forward their powerhouse-like image. That's the San Diego Padres, that's the LA Dodgers. But for me, the LA Dodgers come across as the biggest surprise so far this season, only being about +9 in offense and run differential, coming in at 500, coming in off a series loss to the Pittsburgh Pirates. This team is a little bit surprising. Now, I know they had a setback with Gavin Lux being out for so long, but that's just one player. The depth just doesn't seem to be there like it has been in the past, and normally by now the Dodgers are starting to have a pretty good winning record, and I think we might have seen the peak for the Dodgers over the past couple of years. Sure, this team is going to be pretty much assuring to be in the playoff fight at least, but I got to admit, I am surprised with just how much they're back in the mix with the rest of the teams compared to the prior years. I don't know if I have them winning the division at this point. Arizona, while it's not coming as a surprise, and I'm not ranking them as a surprise, they're coming up as above 500 team, the top of their rotation, continuing to be as strong as I've been talking about for the past 2 years. And they're building off that, so they're going to be a threat in there. We have the Padres, who I expect to win the division at this point, but they're also struggling. Long story short, I think we are going to start seeing the setback, the fallback a little bit of the LA Dodgers. And to me, it's surprising that it's happening the way it is, and that happened quicker than I would have expected. Moving on to number 4, we're going to move to the Windy City, where I think I can talk about both Chicagos in this segment. Coming into this season, if I had to predict which Chicago team would have been stronger, I would have probably been leaning White Sox, especially based off the past couple of years. I kind of discounted that Chicago Cubs went out there and took care of business. They got some big signings in the offseason with Dansby Swanson. They brought in Bellinger. Their rotation seems to be very solid. Whereas on the opposite side of things, coming as one of the biggest surprises, we have the Chicago White Sox, who are currently, at the time of this video, on an 8-game losing streak. Now, in a Central Division where I expected the Chicago White Sox to be a threat to the top, sure, I expected Minnesota to probably win this division, but I expected Chicago White Sox to be right there in the mix. And now that they're competing near the bottom of the division with the Kansas City Royals, and mind you, if we take a look at the worst records in MLB history, if Chicago White Sox kept up this streak, they'd be in the top 30, top 20 worst seasons of all time. Did anyone really see that coming? I know I didn't, and I don't see that turning around with the way the season's going, watching how they have matched up with the rest of the teams that are starting to get better, and already the teams that are already better than them. The Chicago is in a world of hurt, and right now I expect them to miss the playoffs with flying colors. Coming in at number 3, we have the Texas Rangers. Now, the Rangers, I think a lot of people expected them, yeah, they're going to start making some progress. This is a division that tends to be pretty wide open, except for the Astros having scooped it the last few years without a whole lot of contest. But in the middle ground, when we start looking at the Angels and the Mariners, the Rangers were already matching up well with them in the prior years. Add into the fact that we have Oakland in here, Texas has come out firing, plus 54 in run differential, a couple games above 500. They held on to the lead of the division at least for a week or two there early in April, while the Astros struggled with their World Series hangover. But to me, this team has concreted themselves as a real contender to win this division. Coming into the season, I would not have placed any bet on that being a possibility. I would have probably stuck with the Astros. I would have put the Angels ahead of them. I probably would have even put the Mariners slightly ahead of them. But after watching this team, seeing the offensive power that they've been putting together over the past couple of years, and it's starting to come to fruition. They addressed a little bit of their rotation issues. Of course, the depth wasn't always there. They brought in DeGrom, huge add-on. So the Rangers are right there in the thick of it, and I think at this point, if I had to hedge a bet, I'd probably lean for them to come in second in this division. Again, that's a big surprise to me. Building off of that, I'm going to go over to the NL Central and another division that has come as a big surprise to me so far this season. There seems to be a changing of the guard, especially in this division. Coming into this season, number 2, my big surprise here is that the Cardinals are in dead last in this division and pretty far out of it, if you ask me. The Pirates, again, talked about it. This team isn't super surprising that they're being successful. I'm a little bit surprised at how successful they are leading the division right now. But the bigger surprise does come in the Cardinals. The Cardinals have struggled, especially when it comes to the pitching. I don't know how they're going to compete now at this point, and I would suspect for them at this rate to miss the playoffs. Now, we got the Pirates leading the division. Am I thinking they're going to make the playoffs? I'm not 100% sold on that yet. Of course, we're early in the season. They have a winning record against 500 level baseball teams, but they've only played 9 games against those kind of teams. I'm excited to see when those numbers start to get up to 30 games, how the Pirates are going to do. Meanwhile, we have this Cubs team that I talked about briefly already, who's also been a little bit of a surprise for me in this division. Coming into this season, it would have been a lock for the Cardinals to win this division if I had to place a bet. Would have maybe thought that Milwaukee had a shot, but now looking at it 1 month into the season, it's completely up in the air. Cardinals could go on a heater and be right there back in it. Right now they're 8.5 games out. Wow, who would have thought that? But the Brewers seem to be the strongest team, but it looks like the Pirates can easily compete with them. Do not be shocked by the end of the season if any of these teams can win this division. And I'm talking about the Cincinnati Reds too. Wow. And that brings us to the most surprising team so far in 2023. 1 month in, I have to give it to the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, I know a lot of Tampa Bay Ray fans on this channel always give me crap that I've always slept on this team over the number of years that I've been doing the power rankings, etc., etc. But wow, the Rays came out there, made a threat to set the record for the win streak. They tied it, of course. They won 13 games in a row. They are currently sitting 21-5 with a win percentage of .818, which is technically on pace to set the all-time record, beating the 1906 Chicago Cubs at 116 wins. I think it was 768 win percentage, something around there. But they're on pace to beat it. Sure, they may have arguably had a very easy April schedule and not performing amazing against the above 500 teams. But guys, this is a team that the offense has been powerhouse. They've been known to have strong pitching their whole time. I did not expect them to be top in the MLB coming into this season. Arguably thought they'd be fighting for a playoff spot right there in the middle with the Orioles and the Blue Jays. But at this point, I think it's going to be a disaster if they don't make the playoffs. And I got to give them a lot of props. On the flip side of that, somewhat surprising, but maybe not super surprising, we have the Oakland A's. 5-21 so far on the season with a 192 win percentage. This team is on pace to be the worst MLB team in all of history. Before this, we have the Detroit Tigers in 2002, who had 43 wins, is probably the worst team in modern era. There's a little bit worse teams, but you really have to go back into the early 1900s to see that. So right now, the A's are on pace for 30 wins, which would be 13 less wins than the current worst team from 2002. Just unbelievable. On top of that, they're moving to Vegas. So far this season's been super exciting, and that's what I love about watching these sports, is that you really never know who is going to come out on top. It's why they play the games. Hope you guys are enjoying this season so far. Make sure you smash that like button if you like seeing these kind of videos. On top of the power rankings that I do every week, I'm going to start doing more videos like this, so let me know what you guys think. Drop what you think is the biggest surprise so far this season down in the comments below. And let's keep this discussion going, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you for that next video.